Hi guys, welcome to the Walking My Anxiety podcast. My name is Stephen Dawes. Thank you for joining me as always. Now today I wanted to talk a little bit about my daughter's autism, because I've talked about it before, and it is linked to mental health issues and mental health problems and poor mental health disorders, things like that, all kind of genre. And I've just spoken about her before when she said some very odd things and some very funny things. And I'm not making fun of her. I'm just saying that children who are autistic see the world in a very different way, and sometimes it can be a way that is both funny and amazing at the same time. And today, a few weeks ago, something happened that, for me, encapsulated what my daughter is in terms of how she reacts to things, in terms of her autism, in terms of the way she sees the world. And this was because the other day I went to take my dog out for a walk, and on the floor outside the front of the house was a robin, a bird. If you don't know what a robin is, I'm sure you know what a robin is, but they're a bird, and they got a red breast, and they call robin red breast in the UK. And it was just quite a small bird, and it was sitting on the floor, on the ground by the house. And at first I thought it had died, so I went over to it and had a look, and it was still alive. And so I called my wife and my daughter out from the house, and I said, look, there's this bird here that's on the ground. It's obviously injured, but there's no trees nearby. It hadn't fallen out of a tree or anything like that. It had obviously been brought in by something, either injured and flown there, or it had been brought there by a cat or something like that. Now, I know there is obviously things out there, people out there who will probably say should have left it alone, should have left it exactly where it was, but there was no trees near it, and there was nothing going on around there, so it hadn't come out of a tree, it hadn't come out of a nest. So we decided that we would try and see what was wrong with it. So my wife picked it up, and we've been here before. My daughter is an animal lover, a huge animal lover. She loves all types of animals, and on one particular occasion she went to the park, our local park, and she came back quite quickly afterwards, after she had left, and we wondered what the problem was. And she'd found a baby bird under a tree on the ground. Now obviously we would, if we were there, had told her to leave the bird where it was, that his mum was probably nearby, and that it was going to be okay. But she obviously was on her own, decided to try and rescue this bird, so she picked it up and brought it home with her. We were of course in a little bit of a panic. We'd never dealt with anything like this before, weren't entirely sure what to do, so we did some research, and we actually managed. This bird could only have been a few days or maybe a week after hatching, but we managed to feed it, managed to give it water, and we managed to raise it. It grew its feathers, it started to want to fly, and it did start to fly. And we were very lucky that my wife's dad has a farm that has an aviary in it, outside aviary, so he managed to take the bird off us, and it lived with other birds for a little while, and then it flew away. So that was a success story. And of course that also, in the same way, made my daughter now believe that we can rescue anything and fix anything, basically. So anyway, we found this robin, and we decided that we were going to try and help it if we could. So we gave it some water, gave it some food. It didn't look obviously injured at the time, but we weren't entirely sure what we could do for this bird. So we thought, well, we'll try and ring around to see what would happen, because we know that some vets do take birds on, wild birds, and do try to help them. But we did say to our daughter, look, it could be the case that they don't want to take this bird on, and that they may just say to put it back where we found it. And this is where my daughter's kind of autistic traits come in. She would absolutely not accept the fact that we were going to leave this bird anywhere. We were going to help it, we were going to get it better, and then we were going to let it free. She would not have the idea that anybody would not want to look after this bird, would not want to see if this bird was okay, would not want to give this bird any kind of treatment. So we did ring one vet, who said basically to put it in a box, hang it on the washing line and let it go, see if it survived. And my daughter did not want to do that. She said that that would be cruel, because this bird could be cold, it could be hungry or thirsty, and that was not acceptable to her. So we tried to ring the RSPB, couldn't get hold of them. I don't think they would have necessarily done anything either. But we did actually manage to find a vet that would take a look at this bird. And my daughter was absolutely ecstatic. Really, really, really hyped up. I mean, she really wanted to do everything she could for this bird, really help it out, really get it to a point where it was going to be better, it was going to survive, and it was the only thought in her mind. There was no other thought at all regarding this bird. It was going to live, it was going to be fine, it was going to survive. So we decided to start off on our journey to the vets, but unfortunately on the way the bird did die on the way to the vets, so we had to come back home again. And my daughter was devastated, as as people with autism are, because they see the world in a simplified way. Not to be negative about that, but they do see things in a very black and white way. Things are good or bad. With my daughter, people are good or they're bad. There's very little in between. Things are happy or sad. Things are very matter of fact with my daughter, and she can't always understand some nuances in terms of things like, we could help this bird. There are people out there who might not want to help this bird. This was something very unfamiliar to her, very strange to her. She didn't see the idea. She wouldn't understand the reasons why anyone would not want to help this particular robin. So unfortunately it did die, and she did get very upset. But she understood the fact that we did try to help it, and she took solace in the fact that she did try to help it, and she tried to do her best for this bird. And I think this is one of the best things about my daughter in terms of the way that she is, and it is part of her autism. But I love that fact about her, the fact that she is willing to help anybody, not just an animal, a person. She's willing to help anybody. She will go out of her way to help someone. She will go out of her way to help an animal. It really doesn't matter to her. To her, helping things, helping animals, helping people is what she loves to do. And I love that about my daughter, and the fact that she is that way. I think it's something that we really need to celebrate. That a lot of people with autism are that way. They see the world in a very certain way, but that's not a bad thing. It's actually something that you can be thankful for, and something that you can celebrate. And I just wanted to share that with you because it's something that really made me proud of her, that she sees the world like this, and that she takes such pride in being able to help things such as animals and birds. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. It's something a little bit out of the ordinary for me, what I don't normally do, but I really wanted to share this with you so that you could, if you have an autistic child yourself and you've had similar stories, let me know. I would love to hear them. If you've had a similar situation with your own daughter or your own son or someone in your family, I would love to hear it. Please get in touch. You can email the show, stephendaws@walkingwithanxiety.co.uk. You can get hold of me on Twitter, Walking with Anxie, ANXI at the end. And I would love to hear from you. Thank you for listening. I hope you're having a really good week. And until the next time, goodbye.